Hello everybody and welcome to another video. If I'm looking a little bit disheveled, it's because I'm still wearing like my pajama top because this color doesn't really work very well for me, so yeah, not ideal for videos, but hey, it is Saturday morning. I am not putting in a lot of effort, but I am here to update you guys about my Herkyet experience. So for those who don't know, Herkyet is the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. It's a reading challenge that is organized by the channel Cordy. I will have that one linked down below. I first heard about it from the channel Freshly Read Books, and it is a challenge in which you're going to try and complete a lot of prompts throughout 1 year of reading. It started on the 7th of July, which is her birthday, and it runs until the 6th of July in 2026, or this edition will. And so yes, I have a first video out about this challenge that I will have linked as well, which is the July update, and so now I'm giving you guys the August update. In August I read 12 books, so hopefully that means I made some progress, right? So let's look at the first challenge of Herkyet. The first challenge is reading by the 100, so in which you have to read books by hundreds of page counts, so reading a book between 100 and 200, between 200 and 300, so on and so forth. You will have a visual on the screen soon, and so the first thing that I did here is I read a book that has a page count between 100 and 200, which is The Rights of the Reader by Daniel Pienaar. I have two videos out about this book as well, which I guess I'm also gonna link the first one of those here, which is a video about your rights as a reader, the rights that Daniel Pienaar introduces, and my opinions about them, whether they're still like accurate, whether I feel like they're rights that need to be mentioned, and whether I feel like there's some rights that need to be added to this. Yes, cats. In this section, no further progress was made. In principle, I did read a few books that could have helped me. Fate. What? You have food. Yeah, I will come sit in the sofa soon. So in principle I read a few books here that could like count for like this 700 plus page count, for example, but I'm using them for other stuff, unfortunately. The next challenge that I made any progress in is the last 10 years challenge, in which you're going to read a book for 10 progressive years of publication dates, basically. And you can also actually go for 12 of them, because it was like you have the choice with whether you count from 2025 backwards or from 2026 backwards, and I'm going to ideally be doing both, but you know, if I do one of them, it's also counting as completed. So I've read a book that counts for a publication date in 2021, which is The Veiled Throne by Ken Liu, which is also that book that I was actually mentioning, like this could have definitely counted for over 700 pages, but I used it for something else, because you can use each book for like two things, so I'm using it for two other things. But so yes, The Veiled Throne, third book in the Dandelion Dynasty. You know, if you want any further information about any of these books, then go to my August wrap-up, in which I talk about these books in much more detail. But so yes, epic fantasy based on Chinese history. A similar epic fantasy that is set in an Asian setting or Chinese setting will have completed my year of 2023, which is The Water Outlaws by S.L. Huang, about a woman arms instructor who is discharged from her position and branded a criminal when she refuses the attentions of a superior of hers, and so she is sent off to a remote region, but she is intercepted by some bandits along the way and is training them to make them stronger and be able to protect themselves in case the authorities come after them. Next up we have all the adaptations, for which you basically need to either read a book that has one of these types of adaptations, or you have to watch the adaptation based off of a book, or you can do both, of course. In this case I have added the animation brackets here because I've read Spy Family Volume 1, I've also read Volume 2 in the meantime. I might at some point actually look at the animation as well, but I feel like I want to be a little bit further into the manga series before I potentially watch that, or I have to check with my friends who know this series better whether there are like spoilers for you know, like later editions of the manga in that animated series, and so whether I can already start or not. So Spy Family is a manga series, as I just indicated, about basically this sort of like fake family that was assembled to pretend to be a long-established family in order to enter into this prestigious academy, because the father is a spy who needs to infiltrate the academy to get closer to his next target, basically. What he doesn't know is that the daughter that he chose is actually a telepath, and the wife that he chose is actually an assassin. Next up, I have added a book to disability representation. So second book for disability representation is Flashlight by Susan Choi. There is a there is ALS representation within this book. Next up, we have the Around the World Challenge, where I've added a book for the continent of Asia. I have added Speaking Bones by Ken Liu, so the fourth book in the Dandelion Dynasty series that I talked about earlier within this video. Then we made a bit of a progress on the Even Bigger Rainbow. So this is basically to read books with covers that match the colors of the rainbow. And so first up, for teal, I've added Spy X Family Volume 1. It has a very teal cover. And then for purple, I have added Speaking Bones by Ken Liu. And then I've also added The Whole Rainbow, so a book that has 7 colors or more. For this I added Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. Then in the BIPOC author category, I have added a second author, which is Ken Liu, this time with the Veiled Throne, because I've already used Speaking Bones for 2 categories, so the Veiled Throne will slot in here. And then I've also added a third, which is Tatsuda Endo, who is the author of Spy X Family, for which I used Spy X Family Volume 2. I've even added a fourth, which is S.L. Huang, for reading The Water Outlaws. Next up, for the award season brackets, I have entered one book at the moment, which is Flashlight by Susan Choi. So this is a book nominated for the Booker Prize. I am going to use the Booker Prize for this entire bracket. However, I'm very much behind on the schedule that I had hoped to set myself of reading 3 books for this prize every single month. But luckily there is no real sort of like deadline here, you know, like I don't need to be reading these books within the actual time frame of the prize. I can also read them once the prize is announced. The shortlist will be announced next week, I think, so, you know, or the week after maybe, just only, but in any case, the shortlist isn't that far away. Ideally I would have loved to have read a little bit more of these books before the shortlist is announced. I'm gonna try and at least fit in one more next week, but I do have 2 more in any case, 2 in total more, I mean, with that, planned for the month of September, so I'll have read 3 at least by the end of September, hopefully. And for this particular challenge in Herkyet, I need to read 7 in total, so I don't even need to read the full long list of the Booker Prize. So I think I'll just read these 2 now in September, and then in October I'll try to slot in some of the shortlisted books, and then when the winner is announced, I'll slot in the winner, and then we'll see whether I want to read any more of the books. And then there is also a few bonus challenges, and for one of these bonus challenges, it's like a TBR challenge, and I decided to put in the books for TBR Spin, which I'll probably not get to that book for TBR Spin for September, because for September the prompt is to read the oldest book on your TBR. But in general, I place the oldest books on, not really my TBR, but like my want to read list onto my TBR Spin stack. And so for the month of August, the book that I read was The Rights of the Reader by Daniel Pennack. I've actually forgotten the prompt that was the August prompt that made me choose this book, but it was The Rights of the Reader by Daniel Pennack. And so this one goes into this challenge, and so I'm hoping to read the 5 oldest books on my one to read through the TBR Spin challenge. So the TBR Spin challenge is a challenge organized by Freshly Read Books, who I've mentioned earlier this video, and so she is basically doing this every year, so you can definitely hop on still now, but you can also hop on at the beginning of the year. But basically you make a pile of the same amount of books as there are months left in the year, And then at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, she typically does like a live show in which she does a spin out of a list of prompts. And basically you have to try and find a book on your pile that matches with that prompt. If nothing on your pile matches, you have to replace a book on your pile with another one that does matches, and so then that one disappears from your pile. It's a fun little sort of like way to randomize your reading choices basically. And yeah, that's it. That's all the progress we made throughout this month. I do think that we made quite decent progress. When it comes to what the story graph is telling me now, it's telling me that I'm 19% completed, that I've completed 27 prompts out of 141. But I do think with like the bonus stuff and things like that, it's just like it's calculating. No, because it's calculating it separately normally, right? If I click on this again, so it's saying 19% of the basic prompts and then 5% of the bonus ones as well. So okay, we're 19% into the basic challenge, so that is about a fifth across 2 months, which is nice on track. So that's good, but we'll see, because I do definitely think like for award season, for example, I think it counts it like separately, as in like there are 3 levels you have to read from, I think, or 4 levels maybe, like the entrance, the semi-finalist, the finalist, maybe a winner even category. But so you have to read 7 across those, so this is only counting for 4 books in the standard way it's set up right now, whereas it should be 7. So I'm not entirely sure that we can fully rely on this maths. But in any case, doing good so far, but it's also just going to get harder the further along we get, because at this point in time there's still a lot of these sort of like easy prompts that are open that I'm just like naturally filling with my reading, and I guess the further along we get, the more difficult it might get for me to fulfill these without putting in any intention. But so yes, that is the Herkiet challenge update for the month of August. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're doing Herkiet, let me know if you're like tracking it as well in the Storygraph challenge, and if you know how far along you are. And yeah, good luck to you then as well for the remaining time of this challenge. But so yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and see you guys for the next one. Bye!